it doesn't hurt, and it's going to be helpful to be able to talk on a different level about the business, so that, you know, for those of you that want to get into leadership, if you want to go on to an adjuster, or even if you just want to have a conversation with a very inquisitive person on your team who wants to know some of the hows and whys of certain things. We're doing this regularly. The idea is we need to do this more on a quarterly basis rather than a monthly basis. So that's why we're kind of doing this one now. And yes, it says April 2015 because we're dealing with April's results. But basically, we'll be going forward. We'll be looking at it on a quarterly results basis. It's more about knowing who your drivers are, your top performers, your lower performers. We're really going to start talking a lot about things like variance. You know, so when you're looking at your top performers and you're looking at your low performers, if you have someone, let's say at SMLI, you've got your top performers at 89%, but your low performers at 45, you got a huge disparity there. Do we know why? And if so, what are we doing for those 45 percenters? And are we utilizing our 89 percenters or whoever they may be? So it's more about talking about the business from that perspective. As you see on the agenda, we're talking about metrics there, but the very first topic that I kind of want to talk about is turn. We don't want to lose any more folks. What can we do to engage the hearts and minds? And that's when we talked about the huddle there. So I put that up there about our weekly engagement plan. It really should have a lot of meaning behind it. It shouldn't just be some fluff, but what can we do to help complement what our leaders are doing to engage those hearts and minds, so we can actually build real actions that can lead to that desired behavior, those positive results that we're looking for. So I just kind of want to get some conversation going around that piece of it. Yes, ma'am.
Sitting in the middle of our team, like all of us do, we tend to hear a little bit more. Sometimes the CSS is confiding us a little bit more. So when we do get that information of, I'm thinking of leaving, or I'm just not happy here, don't just listen, but be there for them. Why are they not happy? And let your team lead know. And between both of you, have a plan. Is it something, is they're just moving, the husband's moving, and there's nothing we can do? Or is there something else we could do to help them?
Have you heard some of those conversations lately?
Lately, no.
Okay.
We're talking like last year, I had some of those. And they're still here.
Okay.
They're on
I have a
other
good
teams, but
example
they're
of one.
still here.
We had one recent, it wasn't talking about leaving, but it was like a low performer.
Okay.
ACW out of whack, SMY is still, not there. But the team lead dug in with that individual and really started talking about movement within Allstate. And this is a person that's been here for probably 5 years or something like that. And had never heard any of the interest that, hey, I want to do something else with Allstate. But this one also is able to move and leave the area.
Okay.
So the conversation with that individual from the team lead was, starting to look at different areas. Hey, not necessarily looking at the career board. I didn't hear that brought up at all. But it was that this individual is interested then and has got a game plan out to get over to Colorado. So it is mobile, so it's starting to work on the resume and these type things. And so I think that's kind of neat, and just getting the talk out there, because there was one that was kind of dissatisfied, just sitting there, not really performing all that, would likely lead to that eventually.
Did you have any part of any of those conversations or any role in sort of not necessarily shaping that conversation, because that is sort of a leader conversation.
Right.
But to Mary's point, you kind of have to engage them as a person, right?
You see these things and you talk about it. You're talking routinely with the team, like, hey, what about this one? What's going on? There's one that's going to go on a preview in the next day or so, I guess, essentially for the Ox 8 business. But it's like, do we know what's going on with that? What's driving that? Because we're having that conversation.
Ground, so to speak.
Right, exactly. Before you go in and have the discussion with the individual.
Okay.
But it's what do you know, Mike? What are you running into? What do you hear?
There's a merit to that conversation of the development. In regards to if somebody is good at their job, but if they feel like they're getting stagnant, nobody cares. Nobody's talking to me. Nobody's asking where I want to go. Why am I going to continue to put my best out there and perform the way that I've been performing if I'm not going to get where I ultimately want to there's a lot of merit to that conversation. To touch on the skills matrix, that's something that I think across the office and across the CSA is not being utilized in the full potential of what the skills matrix is intended for as far as the tool is concerned. They're actually RCPSing that in a tier 2. They're actually touching on that skills matrix and seeing, is it too broad, is it too vague, and we can't really give the emphasis of, okay, well, you're maybe struggling with the process a little bit more, rather than just, okay, you're good at F and Wells, let's move on to the next one. So I feel the skills matrix is definitely something that can be leveraged a lot more as far as that tool is concerned, and they're actually working on that in tier 2 as well. I just wanted to
I
touch
was
on
gonna
that.
say, that's a good point by Chris, and then also to let you guys know a little bit more of the RCPS of development. The leaders are getting together this great format that's gonna include transferable skills such as being able to do simple things like Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, going into public speaking. There's tons of information that we're trying to put together criteria for individuals to have a development plan. So kind of tying into what Izzy has been working with some of her peers, and what Chris is talking about, the skills matrix, utilizing that as well. But then also with this rollout that we can get is getting individuals based off where they're at in their career, but getting a development plan going along with them. So if it masters the simple step 1 things, then making sure that they're able to execute that within their leaders, and then also continue to go to like steps 3, steps 4, which get a little bit more complicated, like running huddles. So that's something that's going to be coming soon that can continue to go towards someone's growth, where they feel that they're not just so stagnant, that they're continuing to execute and working towards achieving these action plans, these goals that they have within the development plan, and hopefully that can also go towards turnover because they feel like they're more involved, more engaged. They're getting their skills either enhanced or the ones that they lack in getting more development in those. So that's going to be something that's going to be coming up hopefully soon these next 2 weeks.
Absolutely. The key, I think, is to tie it back to the career board too, and then the good life and all of those different tools that we have. I think you and I actually sat in on a couple of those, and they were really helpful.
Yeah.
For example, the one about public speaking. That's something that a lot of people do struggle with, but being able to tie it back and then show them that there is a way to fine-tooth comb through that and work out the kinks.
Critical coaching is another one. I mean, there's different components that the leaders and Jeremy and myself we try to contribute towards getting something that seems, intact to how people develop towards, transferable skills, whether it's here an MCO. And then if you look at the career board, it's just a small piece of it. The thing that Christina's put together with Lunch and Learns, going on resume building. Mike's going to talk about 401ks and having people have a better understanding of what the company is providing us. Regarding benefits and things like that. So you add all that, you add in skills matrix, hopefully things like that can make an impact for turnover.
I think
As we can with our SITs, leaders are trying to be more strategic with their SITs, so that when they see areas that they know an individual is working on, if they see a moment like an aha moment that actually sort of clicks for an individual to sit along the call, hey, probably be a good idea, a good opportunity to share that in love tomorrow. Prepping them for the next day so that they're not caught off guard. Even if I know that I might be not necessarily hitting my SMY goal, but I sort of have like a small win today. My number may be red tomorrow, but I can at least say, here's something that I realized about myself. And then now I'm not feeling like I'm being, held to fire or anything like that because I don't feel like I'm being vilified for any reason. So.
The challenges I've seen, especially with the newer folks, is they don't understand is that they are not solely evaluated on their stats. 50% is leadership principles. So going up to that conversation, they're not prepared to discuss their stats through the leadership principles. Like if you have a problem with NOIF and OL with maybe this pumping system issue, they're not prepared to go into that conversation to talk about it. They're expecting to go this is what it was like this year.
Okay.
And I really think that there's a poor understanding of what that other 50% is right now, especially since we've changed from OSFs to leadership principles. The leadership principles training was very good, but I don't think that a lot of folks are ready in the sense that I have to talk about my stats in not just about the number itself. For instance, if I had a problem with SMY, I would come up with a way to talk about it, to go in and advance as a CSS. I think a lot of the newer folks, they're just not ready to talk so much as to be told.
Anybody else have any thoughts along those same lines?
I agree.
Well, I kind of wanted to ask
Huddles or-
a question on tying to that, because it looks like we're losing about 50% of our people within the first year. So I kind of piggyback, or not so much figuring on that, but I just wanted to ask you guys, what do you guys do when you guys know you guys are getting new people on your team? Like, what kind of connection are we building at that point? From the point that you know that they're coming on to us and they're leaving transition, what's kind of some of the,
That's the basic stuff, reaching out when they're still in training, when they're in transition, to go sit with them over there. Done that, once they get to the team, give them the evaluation, see where they're at right away. Got one individual been with the team, I don't know, 2 weeks or something like that from training now. And we just went over just an F and L yesterday, A to Z. There's little process things that can be tweaked. But also giving her the idea that, okay, we'll come back and follow up with this in a week or so, but also we know that your real issue is with inquiries, your hesitation there. So here's our plan. This is what we're going to do to support you. So trying to just throw the resource right there, let them know that you're, lack of a better term, a safety net, whatever there, but you're a resource there to help them, so that they're not going to slip away.
yeah.
Especially when you get an individual that is say having a lot of the issues at home and all that. That can exasperate things somewhat.
I think that's great, because one of the reasons why I put the training piece together is for us to start building that rapport right from training. Starting to get to know who we are and building that connection right then and there. But we know sometimes we have to be inbound. I try to use the time to have us go support them while they're taking calls and present standard process, things like that. But once they go to transition, we really don't have anything in place, so it's just kind of left on our own to do what Mike's doing and reaching out and continue to build that connection. 'Cause that's where we're losing them.
So I gotta ask you, Mike, since you brought it up with you said it's awareness and a mind shift, and then you just said that you think that now they do understand that. What do you think that, what was the light bulb moment? I know you can probably only speak for your team, but I'm asking everybody, where was that mind shift, and what was the mind shift you think?
I can't say. I think it's the repetitiveness. It's brought up at the huddle daily. It's kind of like, hey, we look at what we did yesterday on the calls per hour. We're seeing that. What are we running into? Talking to the 2 or 3 individuals that call lengths are this long. Talking and working with those to try and understand, get through to them as to, hey, remember, we need to really understand the caller condition, what the caller needs, not what your work method is as to how you take the effort. So I can't say exactly when, but I think it's due to the repetitiveness over the last 6 weeks.
Mike just said he didn't know, but I heard 3 things right away. I heard handle time.
No, really.
I heard handle time. I heard standard process and education piece. So he says he didn't know, but in his conversation right away, immediately I heard 3 things that were the reason of why it's customers per hour. It's increasing.
And it's, I guess that's where I'm coming from, is just opening the conversation up for that, is to, it's gonna be far more sustainable when our folks understand the whys. They'll start to change and adjust their behavior when they're able to internalize. If they know, okay, I can get you 4.2, I can get you 4.2, I can get you that. If they're shooting for that, something else invariably will fall off, because they're going to sacrifice. If they don't understand the whys, they'll sacrifice something else to attain that number.
No,
Adams, we actually had a driver that was really bringing down the team because the variance was just so vast. Most of the individuals on the team were really good in terms of the standard process usage and keeping the conversation more concise. I know a lot of us have been focusing on contributing versus, what's the other one? Yes, absolutely. So then at that point, we had to actually take a call where we had a lot of conversation where we were over-contributing. And then really showing how that wasn't any value added to the customer. Because at the end of the call, we got a survey that wasn't 100%, and it was tied back to the ease and resolution. So then we could see a very clear connection between the behavior that we're exhibiting on the call, which may have been due to self-talk, or like Gary said, for different individuals, it's a very different situation. But with that in particular, now obviously Adams was up at the top over there, but it was because we were able to work with those drivers and close that variance.
That we had a little struggle, even Crystal and I, to buy into the number, because we've always had high SOTL results. So to them, they're like, they're telling us they like it, they're telling us we're good, because that's our SOTL, what the customer's telling us. So we broke it down to let them know what this number was as far as like the whole time call or talk time in the ACW. And at first they really weren't buying into it because they were stuck on the 100% for SOTL that we have commonly month after month. You know, we're high, but we're doing good in that aspect with the care and concern. We don't get hit on any of the points there, but we kind of tied it back to core demand. Yeah, demand capacity, telling, look, if we can do that, and if we can really see what we can shave off, because obviously something is not working as far as getting to reach as much customers as we can to give that excellent customer service to more customers, or if it's not even viable, if it's not, but other teams are doing this, so what's the difference? Kind of throwing that on the table to them and breaking it down and kind of letting them pitch into it to see what the difference was. We did spot checks and went into ethanols and said, okay, this you can kind of shave off, or kind of like what Izzy said for the talk time, to do that with them. And then them working on their after call too, they saw all these little bits and pieces kind of tying in, and we're slowly getting back up there and reaching our aspirational goal on our board is 4.5, and they didn't want to change it, they wanted to keep it there. So even for them to want to achieve that, I think that speaks a lot from them, and not sacrificing that 100% that we have when we get the surveys. And the survey count is kind of what we type it down to as well. Is yeah, we get 5 surveys, but what if we can get 10, because we can touch more customers in that time? Like, what can we shave off? Like, what can we help you do so we can touch more customers and ultimately help even with our call volume and the demand capacity before.
That we're seeing that we can build on as we go in towards the end of the year.
Definitely self-talk. With my team, they were not comfortable at all with QFC, at all. And as you can see, we probably would have been a lot higher. We were the last in the office, and we did bring that to their attention. So we had Matt on our team, who was a little bit, he's up for challenges all the time. And when we did our research to see why we were so low, it was the QFCs. They'd offer drive-in, but never offered QFC. They'd move on to the next one. So we started seeing it more and more, because of course when we're doing our calls, not every time is it that drive-in is first option with the QFC. So we started seeing that more and more. So then Matt brought up a QFC challenge for the month of May, and I think we jumped up to, right now we're at a 68.7, I believe. It might be a little bit higher, but because of that QFC challenge, basically, definitely recognize Matt for that, because having him bring the challenge rather than me or Bernadette bring the challenge, I think it really got the team more involved in it. When I started listening to calls, you see them with their mouths hovering, reading it verbatim because they weren't comfortable with it. And then little by little, they started reversing it, or it was a little bit easier for them to start working with. But I think the challenge when a team member does it rather than one of the leaders, it definitely helps the team engage more on it and bringing it up in huddles.
For jumping out there on that, that's a challenge for the team, I know. And on top of that, he's not new to the company, but he's new to the office still, right?
Yeah.
Like a couple months.
Yeah.
So.
You would think
guys
he's been
are
here forever,
transferring.
though.
Yeah.
I wanted
You
to
would
bring,
think he's been here forever.
I wanted to bring something
Oh,
up.
he got comfortable quick.
Just bring something up, as we have bilingual callers, something that no office has is that we have Fabian and we have Louise, who have really supported Team Mac, and some of the bilingual individuals that I have. One in particular is Erica Gomez. Her year-to-date was 60. She closed out April with 57.28. And just continue to work with Fabian, him doing spot checks and helping me on the Spanish calls and giving her talk pass, especially for Service King and DRPs. It was a behavior where she would just get scared, not even try to offer it, just go straight to field because that's where she felt comfortable. So me and Jamie, working with her with the English ones, giving her talk pass, utilizing QFC, but really utilizing Fabian. So kudos to you, Fabian. Thank you for your help on that. I want to say that she closed out May at 72.7. She started in June at 75% on 20 opportunities.
Yeah, as your former leaders, thank you. Very cool. So was, I'm gonna jump out there, is something like this beneficial to you guys? I mean, do you guys find this
Yeah, yeah,
a worthwhile investment of time in terms of going forward with this. Like I said, I think it'll be a bit much to try to do this monthly. We're not responsible for things, these are relatively hard, but from more of an education piece and an understanding side of things, if we do this quarterly, is that something you guys?
Absolutely.
As
And
valuable,
kudos to
yeah.
you and Saul for putting it all together. Honestly,